Everything Old is New Again is sponsored by the law office of Douglas Viviani. Douglas Viviani has been providing quality legal service for over 26 years. We're a general practice firm and can handle any legal matter you may have for a reasonable fee. If you're involved in a car accident, starting a business, planning your estate, or need a criminal attorney, please call 631-681-1910 or email us at vivianilaw@aol.com for a free consultation. Get the justice you deserve. Contact the law office of Douglas Viviani at vivianilaw@aol.com.
Oh, it's so cute. She sometimes takes a little pack of mayonnaise and she'll squirt it in her mouth, all over, and then she'll take an egg and kind of, she calls it a mayonnaise. Are you okay?
I don't feel so good.
A little bit from Arrested Development. This is Everything Old is New Again. We are examining, debating, discussing what is the best sitcom of the, what would you say, the millennium?
The millennium, the 2000s through today.
Exactly. I'm Douglas Viviani. That's David Cohen. We are in the midst of our September silliness. It's now October, but we started in September, so we can say that.
Yeah.
And the first entry is Arrested Development. What do you feel about that show?
Well, Arrested Development, unfortunately, I think, was the start of the networks just not allowing sitcoms the chance to really take root and grow. And there were a lot of, not just sitcoms, but really good TV shows, dramas that you don't get the ratings and the first show, you're out. Now, Arrested Development went on for several seasons, but just didn't get the audience attention. It got more of a cult following. But to me, one of the greatest shows, sitcoms, I think, ever, kind of in the soap sort of, what do you call it, genre,
right?
Where it's about a completely dysfunctional family, with a male figurehead. Some of the actors were, actors that you would know, Doug, even though none of them were on Star Trek. Jason Bateman, Jeffrey Tambor, right? He's one of your favorites. Will Arnett.
Hey now.
Michael Cera. Ron Howard was the executive producer, by the way. He didn't create it, but he was the narrator and really the driving force behind the show.
I just think it suffers from its distribution, if you will. I don't think many people have seen it, or if they have, I'm sure they would like it, but I don't think many people have seen it. So this is a very strong field. Let's take a look at the next entry.
Oh, a napkin.
Turn it over.
To Sheldon, live long and prosper. Leonard Nimoy.
He came into the restaurant. Sorry, the napkin's dirty. He wiped his mouth with it.
I possess the DNA of Leonard Nimoy. Do you realize what this means? All I need is a healthy ovum, and I can grow my own Leonard Nimoy.
Okay, that's the Big Bang Theory. That goes on and on. I'm sorry to cut that off. It's a great clip.
It is. It's just such an example of great writing, because they could have stopped at just the napkin, a nice gesture from Leonard Nimoy. But when she said he wiped his mouth and then he just took off from there, the DNA just
and it went on a little bit beyond that, where she just says, "Listen, I just got you the napkin." Right. So this is a show that's still currently on, that is, to me, very strong. It's just been renewed for another 3 years at a time. No show has ever been renewed, especially sitcom, for 3 years at a clip.
And the three main actors just also, as Friends did years ago, signed on for what, about $1 million an episode now?
Yeah, a couple of them got a little bit less, but for the most part, I mean, it's huge. And I think it brings back the nerd, or makes it fun, if you will, or acceptable to be someone that enjoys sci-fi, God forbid, and comic books and fantasy.
It's right up your alley. Star Trek. It's everything nerdy.
I can
see you loving that. No, but it appeals to. You're right. Not just fanboys of comic books, things like that, or people like that, but a mass audience, because it's about, you do learn a little bit about science, whether you like to or not. It makes it cool, right?
Yep.
And again, the writing, the characters, Sheldon, Jim,
Yes.
Jim, the actor who
Exactly.
plays Sheldon, that guy. Again, I think he's the glue behind the show, and just, I think because of him, it's successful.
About it is, it not only is an ensemble, and clearly is, it has added characters that are funny into the ensemble, the female characters. It also has a breakout character, so it takes the best of some other decades where they've got the ensemble and the breakout character that is quite fun. Let's see another entry into this besides The Big Bang and Arrested Development for the best sitcom of 2000.
What's Jägermeister?
Well, you know how in a fairy tale there's always a potion that makes the princess fall asleep and then the guys start kissing her? Well, this is like that, except you don't wake up in a castle. You wake up in a frat house with a bad reputation.
That's Modern Family, show that's been on and still is on now. Show's been on for a while. I think somewhat of a sleeper, because I don't know that it's even still, if it's really catching on, because I don't hear people talking about it. But to me, one of the funniest shows I've ever seen.
Oh, no, I disagree. I think I think it has caught on. It's definitely breakout series from a few years ago. It's still retaining the ratings.
So it could be.
But you don't have to. It's on your TV. That's
I'm
the
saying I don't
beauty
hear
of
a lot of people talking about it because I don't get out that much.
See. Okay.
No, I think it's a wonderful show.
It's a ratings killer. It's very well written, very funny.
Very, very, very smart.
Yes.
But also it has slapstick.
It does.
He walks up the stairs and there's always this loose stare and what have you. It's just got a lot of fun elements.
All the characters are likable as well.
And you can relate in some way or another to all or some of them. And even if you don't relate, you still kind of like them. There's no doubt.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah.
Let's try a brand new show. It's entering its second season just right about now. I love this show.
Second and last season.
Okay.
It was April 29th, 1980-something, and Barry and I were strolling into the one place that gave us pure joy like no other. That's right, the arcade.
We're home.
Back then, you couldn't just download a game to your phone. You needed a roll of quarters and nerves of steel. First, we'd play the classics like Pac-Man and Centipede. Then we'd blow most of our quarters on Dragon's Lair. It was the greatest game ever made, until they made a better one. It was called Punch-Out. It combined everything my brother loved: video games, sports, and graphic, senseless violence.
That's The Goldbergs, a show that right now I think is so cleverly written, but also you have to have a flavor of a taste for it because it's kind of, it's not taking itself seriously, if you will. It knows it's a comedy. The characters are a little tongue-in-cheek in some ways, so they're a little over the top that way, if you want to say it. But that's some of the fun to me. I love it.
Yeah, I know. And well, you like those shows where they kind of harken back to old days and there's a narrator talking about how things used to be. And that's you.
Sort of like Everything Old is New Again
Exactly.
in some way. I don't know where we got the idea for that. But yes, that is me. I love that type. And that brings me back to Gene Shepard, who wrote, he was on the radio for quite some time, but he did stories and so forth. But what people may know him from is Christmas Story. And also... let's put it.
Wait, he's involved with this? He's involved.
No, but it's that type of thing where there's a narrator discussing kids growing up. You know, I really love that show. I think it's very smart. It's fun. Also, at the end, many of the episodes relate to the characters. In that the real life writer of the show, I forget the gentleman's name. His last name is Goldberg, and you'll see him as filming. Let's say there's an episode about wrestling. You'll see him as a kid wrestling with his brother.
Oh, right. Yeah,
so
that's
these
pretty
things
cool.
really did happen, and they come alive. So it's a fun show. I don't know. Does it battle and win with Arrested Development, Big Bang, Modern Family? Probably not yet. It again only has one season.
It's kind of new,
well.
right?
Yeah. So, but I think it's got some future to it. As of right now, we've got Modern Family, I think, against Big Bang Theory are the two that are coming out of the first half of the first four. What do you think?
I agree. I would put Arrested Development up there, but again, it's probably, if I had to put Arrested Development up against Big Bang Theory. I think Big Bang Theory would win out.
Yeah, I think Big Bang is a juggernaut here. I think we're going to see that. We do have, it's a real strong category. We've got some great, 4 more coming up on the other side of the commercials. Just want to take a break of this discussion to discuss for a moment the fun that we have doing this show at conventions. I was at a Star Trek convention. We're going to be doing a couple of shows on our experience there. And now there's a Long Island Doctor Who convention, November 7th through the 9th. We're going to be attending that. We're going to have a booth. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a recording equipment there. Please, if you're attending that convention, you could find out about it at longislanddoctorwho.com. We're going to be recording a lot of the events there and a lot of the stars.
Right. Just come down and see us, if for no other reason. Come say hello, and
we're
chew your ear off.
We're going to be there exploring the experience of Doctor Who and why are these people here? What's this experience like? Why are people coming to Ronkonkoma from, let's say, England, really, to experience this convention? It'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully, one day when we're a little older, there'll be an Everything Old is New Again .biz convention.
Right.
And we'll be able to enjoy that. Let's go out with the Goldbergs theme, and we'll come right back after these commercials to continue the best sitcom of the millennium.
I don't know the future, but the past keeps getting clearer every day.
This portion of Everything Old is New Again is sponsored by ResumeDrInc.com. When you're seeking to change your career, apply for a promotion, or are trying to find a job, your resume is the first thing that's seen that represents you to a potential employer. Make sure your resume makes a clear, concise, and professional impression of who you are so you can get that job interview. Send your current resume to ResumeDrInc at AOL.com for a free online review. You'll receive a timely reply with a reasonable quote to properly prepare your resume. Let them make sure you have a resume that will get you noticed. Send your resume or questions to ResumeDrInc at AOL.com. That's ResumeDrInc at AOL.com.
In medical school, they tell you about thousands of things that can happen to the human. People are born sick and they never know a moment of anything but pain and suffering. So, nobody cares whether you date this girl or whether you don't. Take a look at this dog. How many legs does it have? 3. The answer is it has plenty of legs. Look at his face. Perfectly happy. Do you know the only thing happier than a 3-legged dog? A 4-legged dog.
Little something from Louie, the sitcom that's on
FX.
FX, and that's Charles Grodin, if you remember him from a few years back.
So many things, yeah.
So creative. I had to cut that down, but that little scene takes a couple of minutes, and it is so poignant but so funny that I really became a fan of the show through the research that we've done for this.
Thanks to
show.
Me, thanks to, because we did
Yes.
We did a show about stand-up comedians that you can find on as one of our podcasts. And
where do you get that? Everything Old is New Again .biz.
.biz, yes. Right? And Louis C.K., the comedian upon whom that series is based, was an example I used of somebody working clean versus dirty. He's kind of on the dirty side, but found this outlet through FX. He has complete creative control. And yeah, look, there's a lot of material on that sitcom, if you want to call it. It is a sitcom, actually. That's off color and may not be for everybody, but to me, it's a brilliantly written and acted show.
And a smart show, yes. I just don't think that it has characters, the lines. I don't think it's going to be in the finals
but you
for
haven't
this.
seen it. Yes, it does.
I have seen it, but I just don't think it's going to...
You saw little YouTube clips. You haven't seen full episodes
I've
yet?
seen a lot. No, I've seen full episodes. They have it on YouTube. Yes, okay. Absolutely.
All right.
But I just don't think it's going to battle and win against Big Bang and Modern Family yet.
Maybe not.
Those are the final 2 so far, I think. We've had another show that's pretty long running. I think it's over now, but let's see about this.
Are we ready for the game? Yeah, I know, grumble, grumble, but you would follow me to the ends of the earth, grumbling all the way. Like that dwarf from Lord of the Rings.
Gimli.
Nerd. That is why you're not on the team.
Just trying to be helpful.
I'll help. Elven Dragon Slayer, 10-point power sword.
I can't hold it in. That guy, I don't know. Steve Carell sometimes is funny, sometimes he's not. I don't know. I think that, of course, the 40-Year-Old Virgin was tremendous, but that was The Office. Right. And you saw, when he left the show, that show went right down the tubes. He kind of carried that with that odd character and odd show.
I don't know if it went down the tubes because I think it held its own for a while. I think it went out on when it should have gone out.
But what did it last? Only a year after he left?
Well, I think maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
Something like
but
that.
regardless, it's in there. It's
Absolutely.
fun. If you just want to look at work and be reminded of work while you're not at work, watching TV on your free time, to me that's the downside of it. Honestly, I don't want to be reminded of work while I'm at home. I don't want to watch a show about work. Does that make sense?
But agreed. He was. I mean, he was really the show
Yes.
for many years. And it was also, like we talked about, certain shows from the 70s based on the UK version of The Office,
starring Jerry Gervais.
Right, Ricky Gervais. Right.
And that was a really fun show, and we're going to do a show about sitcoms and the influence of the British sitcom on America. But that was well done. But I don't think it's up against or can carry the day against Big Bang or Modern Family at this point. So trying to get an idea of where we stand. There's a couple of strong ones coming up. Let's hear a clip from a show that comes from the same creator as The Big Bang Theory, and it was a show that was on the air before The Big Bang Theory.
Hey, if girls with big boobs work at Hooters, where do girls with only one leg work at? IHOP.
That's just cruel. Actually, it's kind of funny.
Yeah, because they got one leg. They have to hop.
I hop. Tipping your waitress takes on a whole new meaning.
And that's from 2.5 Men, the infamous Charlie Sheen at this point, right?
I think the only reason that made the final 8 is because there were no other I think there were only 8 sitcoms in the millennium.
You're right. There's not. It has died off. That's a good point. I think it has died off as a show that's on television. We've gone to a lot of reality stuff. People are watching that, quite frankly. There's a couple of game shows that are at nighttime. There's also, a lot of serious.
Well, reality shows they're very cheaply made, and why not? So they're throwing them out there every
and these
chance
are.
they get.
Let's face it, it's hard to come up with creative lines, plots, things that haven't been done before.
And no one gives sitcoms a chance anymore. If you don't get the ratings right out of the gate, you're canceled. So
well, that's why I think you should be giving the Goldbergs a little bit more of a shot than what you're doing at present.
I'll watch another one. I watched one. I thought it was cute.
Okay,
I'd watch it again.
Good. And I would love you and anyone else that watches it that wants to argue with me about it or agree, whatever it might be. Contact me at oldnewagain@AOL.com. Dave also is at that website, either or both of us. Come on back, give us some feedback.
So you're big on 2.5 Men?
No.
How did it? So it really got on the list because we couldn't.
Well,
think
it's
of
got longevity. It's got longevity. It has characters,
Yes,
and it is funny. So you can't ignore.
I served on a jury with not Charlie Sheen.
The other character,
guy.
I forget his name. Okay,
John Cryer.
John Cryer, thank you, Mike. John Cryer. I served on a jury with him, and I still don't know his name. Yeah, we were on a case together before 2.5 Men. It was before that series, when he was still known as wow, I can't remember anything today. What's wrong with me?
What do you mean?
From the movie,
yes, and he was in that
Molly
too.
Ringwald.
Correct. 16 Candles.
No, not that one. It
the
was
other
another
one.
one.
With Pretty in Pink.
Pretty in Pink.
There you
That's
go.
it.
Challenge me and I'll get you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. So
but
anyway,
you're saying he was a good guy, bad guy. I mean, he's
a good guy. Yeah. He's a very nice guy.
And so you put that person away for life, I assume.
What do you mean?
Well, on the jury.
On the jury.
Yeah.
No. He was a nice guy. The guy who went to we hung the guy.
Well, it gave someone $1 million. If it was civil or if it was civil.
It was criminal. It was criminal, and we put him away.
So when's he coming on our show?
Who? John Cryer? He wouldn't remember me from a.
Well, we could always try. Thinking,
I could.
Why not?
Could,
Along those lines, we have one more entry into the best sitcom millennium.
A man could make a fortune.
Yes.
Guess what?
What you were saying. Keep talking.
What was I saying?
You were saying that under the right circumstances.
Under the right circumstances, what?
Well, you got a nice, healthy head of hair there. You know that? Look at that.
It's like a pelt.
Larry David, Curb Your Enthusiasm, a show that, of course, Larry David was connected with Seinfeld,
right.
Wrote many of those episodes, created that show along with Jerry Seinfeld. Now you've got his own show, a lot of improv in that show. From what I understand, they set up scenes and said, we're going to go with this. We need to say or achieve this goal in the scene, but do it however you want. And what a fun, creative show. Or maybe not so funny. He's kind of a dark character, but it's a really funny show.
Oh, it's funny, and there are memorable lines, and the whole season they did of the producers was just, oh God, it was just so great how it ended. I for those of you who are not familiar, Larry David, Mel Brooks, as himself on the show, wanted to do the producers, and in L.A., and he hired Larry David to play one of the roles, and he tanked.
He forgot the lines. That's pretty much the quote we just had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He tanked because he forgot the lines, yet the audience, I believe, loved him, right?
He did a little stand-up after that.
Exactly. He ad-libbed, and as it turns out, Mel Brooks wanted him to bomb. It was like life imitating art, because he just didn't want to have anything to do with the producers anymore.
Right.
So the whole thing was just brilliant.
It was a
So
turn
funny.
within a turn within a riddle within a mystery. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was creative beautifully. His take on the world continues, sort of as a George Costanza kind of thing.
Well, that's George was based on him.
Exactly, and so he was and still is very creative, very involved. I don't know where that show stands right now. It's
You
always
never
hard to
know,
figure
because
it
you
out.
never know if he's. But he usually ends up doing another season.
But the character that was his manager and one of his friends on that show is now on the Goldbergs. You see,
Yes, that's
and
right.
he plays the father on the Goldbergs. So he all goes back to and advances
Either the
from,
Star Trek, or the Goldbergs.
Correct, or something of that nature. The shows that have a narrator in it, I guess you'd say, comedy. So we're at the end here, where we need to determine Modern Family, Big Bang, or Curb Your Enthusiasm. Drum roll, if you will. I think based on its overall appeal to the general public, to the fact that it kind of changed culture a little bit to make the comic book conventions and the fact of being I hate to say this word, but a nerd, fun. Big Bang Theory. We'll see you next week for the semifinals.
Quarter semifinal.
Billion years ago, expansion started. Wait, the earth began to cool, the autotrophs began to drool.
Good.